At 57 years old, LL Cool J just released an album that critics are calling one of his best works in decades, the F.O.R.C.E, produced entirely by legendary A-Tribe, called Quest member Q-Tip, dropped in 2024 after an 11-year break from music. But here's what makes this story incredible. LL Cool J didn't stumble into this comeback by accident. He's been doing this for 40 years, and every time his career hit a wall, someone stepped in and saved it. 5 times to be exact. And one of those saviors wasn't even a producer or rapper. It was his grandmother. Let's go back to where it all started, because LL Cool J's story is really about understanding when to ask for help. Most artists in hip-hop flame out after a few years. They get stuck in one sound, one image, one moment in time. LL Cool J figured out early that survival meant evolution. And evolution meant trusting the right people at the right time. His first major test came right after his explosive debut album Radio in 1985. That record, produced by Rick Rubin, established LL as a fierce battle rapper with raw energy. But that was a problem. If he wanted to become a superstar and not just a one-hit wonder, he needed to broaden his appeal. He needed to show range. Enter the LA Posse in 1987. The LA Posse was a production crew from Los Angeles, made up of DJ Pooh, Bobcat, Muffler, and Big Dad. They took over production duties for LL's second album, Bigger and Deffer, and what they did was genius. They helped LL master 2 completely opposite sounds at the same time. On one side, they gave him aggressive, hard-hitting tracks like I'm Bad. This song had pounding beats, sharp drum programming, and fierce punchlines. It kept LL credible with the streets. It proved he could still dominate in the battle rap world. But then they did something risky. They created I Need Love, which became the first real rap ballad. This was unheard of in 1987. Hip-hop was supposed to be tough, raw, and street-focused. Love songs that was seen as selling out, LL Cool J himself said. The track generated a lot of friction. Parts of the hip-hop community were conservative and believed anything that wasn't purely street deserved no credit. But LL and the LA Posse took the gamble anyway, and it paid off massively. I Need Love became a huge commercial hit. It opened up a whole new audience for LL Cool J. More importantly, it set a blueprint for every rapper who came after him. It proved you could be hard and soft, street and romantic, and still be respected. The LA Posse gave LL Cool J the foundation of versatility that would define his entire career. They didn't just save his career once. They gave him the toolkit to survive every era that came next. But then came 1989, and LL Cool J faced his first real crisis. His album, Walking with a Panther, received disappointing reviews. Critics said he had become too mainstream, too commercial. He was losing his edge. At the same time, gangster rap was exploding. Groups like NWA were taking over. LL was getting dissed by rivals like Kool Bo D. For the first time, people were questioning whether his career was over. That's when 2 people stepped in and completely changed everything. One was a legendary producer. The other was his grandmother, Ellen Hightower. Griffith raised LL Cool J alongside her husband, Eugene, who was a jazz musician. When LL expressed his fears about his fading relevance, his grandmother gave him direct, powerful advice. She told him to knock them out. Those 3 words became the entire foundation of his next album. It wasn't just a catchy title. It was a mandate, a mission, a spiritual conviction. His grandmother gave him permission to stop worrying about being likable and start being dominant again. But motivation alone doesn't make great music. That's where Marley Marl came in. Marley Marl was a DJ and production legend who knew how to engineer raw, aggressive sound. He took LL's grandmother's message and turned it into sonic warfare. The album Mama Said Knock You Out, recorded largely at Marley Marl's House of Hits studio, featured booming drums, tight programming, and layered samples. The title track alone used a sample from Sly and the Family Stone's Trip to Your Heart and built it into an anthem of defiance. The opening line of the album became iconic. LL Cool J rapped, "Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years." It was a declaration. It was proof that he wasn't has been trying to reclaim glory. He had never left. The critics had just stopped paying attention. The album was a massive success. It went double platinum and won a Grammy Award for Best Rap Solo Performance. More than that, it silenced every single critic who had written him off. and LL Cool J made sure to honor both of his saviors. He featured his grandmother in the music video for the title track, showing her telling him to take out the garbage. It was a brilliant move. It reminded everyone that his authenticity came from his roots, from family, from real life. This moment taught LL Cool J a critical lesson. When your career is in trouble, you need two things. You need emotional conviction and you need technical execution. His grandmother gave him the first, Marley Marl gave him the second. Together, they engineered the greatest comeback in hip-hop history up to that point, but LL Cool J's challenges didn't stop there. By the mid-1990s, the landscape had shifted again. R&B and hip-hop were merging. G-Funk was dominating the charts. LL tried to adapt with an album called 14 Shots to the Dome, where he attempted to chase the gangster rap trend. It flopped. Critics and fans rejected it. He needed another rescue. This time, the saviors were a duo called Trackmasters, made up of Jean-Claude, Polk, Olivier, and Tone. They were known for creating commercially successful singles with mass appeal. They specialized in polished, radio-friendly production that mixed hip-hop's boom-bap foundation with modern R&B influenced melodies. They often used recognizable samples from 1980s pop hits, giving tracks an accessible, feel-good vibe. Trackmasters produced the bulk of LL Cool J's 1995 album, Mr. Smith, and they delivered exactly what he needed. The lead single, Hey Lover, featured Boyz II Men and sampled Michael Jackson's The Lady in My Life. It was smooth, seductive, and built for crossover success. The second major single, Doing It, featuring LaShawn, and had a sultry, laid-back instrumental. Both tracks dominated the charts. Mr. Smith went double platinum and reestablished LL Cool J as a commercial powerhouse, but more importantly, it proved his strategic genius. He wasn't trying to stay true to one sound or one era. He was adapting to the market. He was trusting producers who understood what worked at that moment in time. Trackmasters didn't just save his career. They gave him a formula for mid-career survival. Find the best producers of the current era, trust their vision, and let them handle the sound while you handle the performance. This collaboration showed something crucial about LL Cool J's approach. He understood that different eras require different strategies. In 1987, he needed to prove versatility. In 1990, he needed to prove authenticity and lyrical dominance. In 1995, he needed to prove commercial viability in a changing market. Each challenge was unique and each required a different set of skills. LL Cool J never tried to use the same solution twice. He read the room, identified the gap in his arsenal, and found the exact person who could fill that gap. This wasn't random. It was calculated intelligence. Now, let's jump forward to 2024, because this is where the story gets even more interesting. LL Cool J had spent over a decade away from music. His last album, Authentic, came out in 2013. Since then, he had become a successful actor, playing NCIS Special Agent Sam Hanna on television. He was also a host and entertainer. Music wasn't his focus anymore. Most people assumed his rap career was over, but then he had a dream. In that dream, he spoke with Phife Dawg, the late member of a tribe called Quest, who had passed away in 2016. In the dream, Phife encouraged him to work with Q-Tip, the legendary producer and rapper from the same group. That dream changed everything. It pushed LL to scrap a different project he had been working on and commit fully to a new vision. Q-Tip agreed to produce every single track on LL Cool J's 14th studio album, the F.O.R.C.E., which stands for the Frequencies of Real Creative Energy. This wasn't about chasing trends or commercial success. This was about legacy. This was about making a statement for the culture. Q-Tip brought old school, sample-based production that grounded the album in classic hip-hop heritage. The album featured collaborations with Nas, Snoop Dogg, and Busta Rhymes, all legends in their own right. LL Cool J described the process as going back to the drawing board and learning how to rap again. He said he wanted to be truly inspired by what he was saying, and he wanted to cut out all the fluff. The result was an album that critics praised for its authenticity and cultural weight. At 57 years old, LL Cool J proved he wasn't resting on his laurels. He was still challenging himself, still growing, still contributing. He gave LL Cool the sonic integrity needed for a legacy project. He gave him permission to stop chasing youth and start embracing wisdom. And the hip hop community responded with respect. LL Cool J wasn't trying to sound like the new generation. He was reminding everyone why his generation mattered in the first place. So let's step back and look at the full picture. Over 4 decades, LL Cool J faced 4 major crises. Each time, he didn't try to solve the problem alone. He found the right collaborator for that specific moment. The LA Posse taught him versatility and helped him establish the rap ballad. His grandmother and Marley Marl gave him the emotional fire and sonic warfare needed for the ultimate comeback. Trackmasters gave him the commercial polish required to dominate the R&B crossover era, and Q-Tip gave him the cultural grounding to return as a respected elder statesman. Each collaboration addressed a specific weakness or market demand. The LA Posse solved the problem of being one-dimensional. Marley Marl solved the problem of losing credibility. Trackmasters solved the problem of commercial irrelevance. Q-Tip solved the problem of cultural disconnection. 5 interventions, 5 strategic rescues, 5 reasons why LL Cool J is still here. What makes this story so powerful is that LL Cool J never pretended he had all the answers. He never let pride stop him from asking for help. He recognized early on that hip-hop punished artists who refused to evolve. So many rappers from his era are gone now, forgotten or stuck playing nostalgia shows. But LL Cool J kept adapting. He kept trusting new voices. He kept learning. His career is the Rosetta Stone for hip-hop longevity. It's a blueprint for any artist who wants to survive beyond their initial moment of fame. Talent alone isn't enough. You need strategic humility. You need to recognize when you're stuck and bring in people who can unstick you. You need to be willing to change your sound, your image, your approach. LL Cool J transitioned from the new school era alongside Run DMC and the Beastie Boys. He mastered the golden age. He dominated the R&B crossover period. And now he's engaging with the Native Tongues legacy through Q-Tip. That's 4 decades, 4 generations, 4 completely different versions of hip-hop. And he conquered all of them. His grandmother gave him the emotional mandate. Marley Marl gave him the sonic artillery. The LA Posse and Trackmasters gave him market dexterity. Q-Tip gave him cultural grounding. Together, these 5 forces saved LL Cool J's career over and over again. They're proof that greatness isn't about doing everything yourself. It's about knowing when to delegate, when to listen, and when to trust. The lesson here goes beyond music. It applies to any creative field, any career, any life path where reinvention matters. LL Cool J understood that ego is the enemy of longevity. Pride makes you rigid. Flexibility makes you immortal. He watched peers fall off because they refused to adapt. They wanted to preserve their original sound forever, but culture doesn't wait for anyone. Culture moves forward, and you either move with it or get left behind. LL moved with it by bringing in fresh perspectives at every turn. Think about how rare this is. How many artists from 1985 are still making music that people actually care about? How many have released critically acclaimed albums in the last year? You can probably count them. On one hand, LL Cool J is one of them because he never stopped being a student. He never stopped seeking wisdom from people who knew things he didn't. That's the difference between a flash in the pan and a 4-decade legend at 57. LL Cool J stands as the ultimate example of adaptive resilience in hip-hop. His longevity isn't luck, it's strategy, it's partnerships, it's the willingness to be saved